alaikum. Welcome to very special episode of Impact Dialogue series by Sunbeams School System. मैं हूं Seema Batool and today on International Literacy Day, we gather to ask, is literacy only about reading and writing or is it about preparing people for leadership, inclusion and the future? And to help us reflect on this, we are honored to have a very prestigious guest with us, Ms. Samia Qamar, a globally recognized HR leader, a strategist, and a goodwill ambassador. Samia, it's a privilege to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Seema. First of all, it is so good to see such a great energy that you bring on the table today on such an important topic. Thank you so much. It has been an immense honor to be here with you today and to talk about literacy, which is very, very critical, especially in the landscape that we have in our country.
I'm glad. So, before we dive in, I really wanted to know what shaped your passion for people and leadership.
Okay, so first of all, Seema, I would like to share that my journey beginning from healthcare to management consultancy, then hospitality, followed by technology, and currently in the fintech. So, five industries has shaped me the kind of a person that I am today. And not only that, but I'm also very fortunate to have had immense and incredibly fantastic mentors who challenged me in my thinking, who stretched me by giving me challenging goals and also helped me see the blind spots that I had about myself. So I feel very strongly in the principle of reciprocity, which means that somebody invested time in me, and likewise once you reach a certain career, once you have an access to resources, then it is our responsibility to give back to the society. And naturally I have that sense of purpose, which is to nurture talent for scalable business and sustainable planet, and which is why I strongly believe that wherever I am today, if I can give back even a fraction of that to support people, to support leaders, to be able to grow them, then that means at least I have done my small part for my country.
That's great, Samia. It's whatever you have got, you are just giving it back to the community. So let's move to the definition of literacy. In Pakistan, जब हम literacy की बात करते हैं, जब हम इवन जो हमारा लिटरेसी रेट है उसको भी मेजर करते हैं, तो वी हैव टू सी के जो बंदा लिख सकता है, पढ़ सकता है अपना नाम, उसको हम लिटरेट काउंट करते हैं. So it's usually about reading and writing. How would you describe true literacy in this 21st century?
So, a very good question, first of all. In the 21st century, I think that literacy is not just limited to reading or writing. In my opinion, it's very important that people think critically. They should be able to think out of the box. They should be able to think or prioritize on matters that are super important. And we can even think about global challenges that we have. People who are able to adapt themselves to different environments, to different cultures, when people are effectively able to communicate and also be digitally fluent, because digital fluency is very, very important in the day and age where we live in. To make ethical decisions when nobody is looking at you, what kind of decisions you are making, to apply the problem solving skill to actually business problems that we have. So there are so many problems, and sometimes I see that people wait to be told in terms of what to do. But when nobody is telling you, and when you make a decision which is ethical, and when you try to solve a problem, whether it be for the students community, if you are undergoing your education, whether it is for your society, if something is, let's say, bothering, even if you pick up a tree, if that is creating an obstacle for somebody to walk. So these small decisions, when nobody is telling you, when you are able to apply your wisdom to solve real challenges, I think all of that contributes to being a literate society. I can talk on this, like, I have so much, I'll say, content to speak on it. But, just to sum it up, as an example, as I sometimes say, that basic etiquettes, sometimes nobody is telling you, and you can simply pick up a wrapper if that is creating an obstacle, or picking up a tree. These days weather is very very erratic, you never know when it rains. So these small things which can impact positively for somebody else's life, but then applying, or let's say acquiring, these skills are very very important. So not waiting to be told, but rather being in charge of your own career. And like, let's see, Seema, today it's very easy. If you make a decision to be literate, it's very easy. What is the type of content you want to go through? Things are available on YouTube, things are available on LinkedIn. The list is like long. Every, like, I'm talking about the free courses also. So it's perfectly your choice how you want to build a skill. So in today's era, you cannot even shift the responsibility that since I do not have access to do something, which is why I'm not able to learn something new. So that day and that time has gone. So the whole responsibility of getting literacy lies with us and the choices that we make. So I think these are very important skills to build, and they can easily be built up. Like, we don't need any financial investment, or we don't need anything else. It's just an internet, probably a free internet is something which needs to be with everybody. But yes, I understand the challenges of some of the population which might not have that access. But otherwise, if we talk about like the major population that lives in urban areas, they do not have these, it's just about the choice that you want to make.
I second you on this. You have been to almost five industries, I believe. So, adaptability is something that we should have or we should know. So, then there is a quote we say, which says the century belongs to those people who can learn, unlearn, and relearn. So, from your own career across different industries, can you share a moment where you had to unlearn an old way and adopt a new mindset?
Thank you, Seema. So there is a story that I would like to share. It's quite old now, but obviously it is from my personal life. But it gave me a good sense of what I thought and I believed, and how others challenged me, and ultimately it led to unlearning certain things. So basically, I had a colleague who once made a statement, and he said that um, he considered himself very smart, very intelligent, and he said it openly in the public that I'm very intelligent, I'm very smart, and I have managed people who had a ton of degrees. But I really want to make a point that degrees do not help, especially in the corporate world. And that gave me a good sense about myself, because I was already thinking around those lines, that what is it that is missing, what is it that I need to do more of. Why is it sometimes hard for me to get sponsorship, um, or specific time with some of important people? But when I would look around, it was easy for others to get that time and those sponsorship opportunities. So in my mind, I was already thinking that, look, somehow something is missing, and what is it? And what is it that I'm not doing, which makes me fit for a bigger responsibility, for a bigger role, elevated role, etc., etc. So when the colleague made that statement, it gave me a good reflection point, and that hard work is not just enough, or having degrees, because I was doing a lot of hard work in the hindsight and I was acquiring degrees. But then the statement that I am more smart, I'm very very intelligent, because I am managing and I have managed so many qualified people, which makes a point. So that is when I was having my self reflection and I was thinking. And meanwhile, I still remember that in those days, I had to leave for Dubai. We had a conference, and I was very fortunate to have met one of my favorite mentors, who said one thing to me, that, Samya, you know, be comfortable with being uncomfortable and stretch yourself to the edge. These were the two statements that she made. Stretch yourself to the edge and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, which meant that, things that I have learned, I'll have to shift them and get out of my comfort zone, and I need to stretch myself. These were the two messages that I got. And there were a ton of other advices, but some that stayed with me were, um, start dreaming big, dream big, and then take risks in your life, surround yourself with people who challenge you. So these were all good advices, and what I did was that, there are times that you have to question yourself, what is it I'm not doing? So the first thought as a result of the conversation I had with my mentor was to just start raising my hand and not having a fear of being said a no. So there was an important project on which I had worked, and then as a result of that, I was invited on a gala dinner, which was a big HR networking event. And while the invitation was for the most senior people within the organization, I just said to myself that, look, I worked on the project and I feel that I should also be part of this event. So there is no harm in asking. Why not to go ahead and simply ask? Um, as generally as people, or let's say as women, I'll also make a point here. As women, we are always very overstressed, thinking, what if somebody says no? Oh, I cannot take this rejection and all. But I learned something very new that day. I told myself that, look, I'm not going to stress about it. Even if I hear a no, it should not mean anything because at least I tried. But this was a new mindset, right? This was a new learning and unlearning the old belief that I had. Naturally, as any human being, it was hard for me to listen to a no. But to my surprise, when I made a business case, it was approved and I heard a yes. And it gave me this confidence that, okay, fine, I can do certain things in a certainly different way. And it should be absolutely fine. Then, just like any other human being, I had this, I was vulnerable about going ahead and, let's say, and this is like I'm talking about very early in my career, like talking to a group of people in a big conference room and all. So I started. So I stretched myself to the edge and I started looking for public speaking assignments. And it made me very vulnerable at times because you have to prepare also a lot. But I said, no, I'm going to take them up. And so I started doing that. So naturally, I was getting out of my comfort zone. I was looking at different things. I was getting to meet with different people. I was challenging my own beliefs. There are times there are self limiting beliefs that probably we are not good at it. Probably I'm not the right person. Maybe I'm not going. So, all the negative talk, I stopped doing all of that. And ultimately, obviously, then it had a flywheel effect. I even went and attended a conference where I spoke in Cairo within COVID days. But then all of that was a flywheel effect to what I was starting, right? And one thing that I learned was that, it showed me that literacy is all about unlearning also the myths that hold us back, and it taught me that lifelong learning approach is all about agility, being flexible, being agile, the courage to let go of old formulas and also embrace new learnings and new ways of thinking.
That's a powerful and very transformative journey, Samya. And the core you have mentioned is like,
Yes, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yes.
oh yeah, it's very powerful. And जो भी आपकी journey है, ठीक है, that's very transformative and inspiring because हम लोग अगर देखें तो almost every Pakistani is facing these things and they just, they think कि failure जो है एक dead end है and वहीं से फिर वो जब ये चीजें सोच लेते हैं तो they don't go out from their comfort zone और आई बिलीव कंफर्ट जोन से जब आप निकलते हो तभी आपकी वो ग्रोथ फेज स्टार्ट होती है तो दैट्स वेरी इंस्पायरिंग और द वे यू हैव लर्न सो मेनी थिंग्स एंड नाउ यू आर just very the very confident version of yourself. So let's connect the literacy and employability. And according to the World Bank, almost 1/3 of young people in Pakistan are NEET, which means not in education, employability, or training. So In your view, how does literacy, like in the form of problem solving, communication, or digital fluency that you have mentioned earlier, directly shape employability?
So, okay, it's a good question, Seema, and I think there are three important pillars of literacy. Problem solving is the first that comes to my mind. The second is communication, and I've said it not just with our people within, let's say, our own country, but people across countries or let's say globally. That communication is important, and it does not mean that we have to be fluent in English, but it just means to be able to understand, interpret, and then be able to convey our message, and regardless of to whom we are talking to in a simple and an effective way. That's all. Sometimes people confuse that communication means like probably jargon in English or, you know, but that's not what I mean. And then lastly, it's about digital skills. Like third pillar is digital skills. I keep bringing this digital skills again and again because it opens up door of opportunities that you may never know are available. Because if you don't know, if you're not digitally savvy, then you may be losing access to a ton of opportunities that may be out there. So, a young person who can analyze challenges, can articulate solutions, and be able to navigate digital tools is far more likely to thrive. And it's not also just about getting a job. I've seen personally that people are building portfolio careers these days, which means having a side hustle, having some freelancing, or having, being an entrepreneur. All of that is also possible. It just requires a bit of a confidence, a bit of self-belief, independence, and a growth mindset that can easily carry them forward in life. So I think again I'll come back to three pillars, which is like to be able to solve a complex problem or even a small problem for anyone, being able to communicate the solutions that people have to the best of their abilities, and be able to use the power of internet or digital skills they should be having, which nowadays also means understanding AI, be able to use it in a to benefit themselves as well as benefit whatever job they are doing. So
So,
these are the
yeah, or if I'm also working in tech sector, so whenever
three.
like a developer hai, let's say, and he is, very adroit in her coding skills, but if he doesn't know okay, how to collaborate on global teams, because after COVID we have seen the remote work culture, so a person who doesn't know these skills, he's going to lag behind. And so let's move to the next question, which is about women and the marginalized groups. So you have worked extensively on diversity and inclusion. So research shows that educating women can significantly raise GDP. So, but Pakistan में we have seen कि फीमेल लिटरेसी जो है वो बहुत पीछे है. अगर हम एक लिटरेसी रेवोल्यूशन स्पेसिफिकली फॉर वुमेन या मार्जिनलाइज्ड ग्रुप्स के लिए डिजाइन करें, सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, व्हाट वुड बी द मोस्ट विजिबल आउटकम्स?
Gee, first of all, I am really loving this conversation, and especially a lot of thought that has gone behind it. Absolutely, जी, ये तो एक proven research है कि when women are educated, it has a direct correlation with the increase in the GDP. The GDP for any country or any economy rises. साथ ही उसके सिर्फ यही नहीं है, but the economy, the family, as well as the entire community also thrives. तो जो लिटरेसी की रेवोल्यूशन की अगर हम बात करते हैं, सो दैट मीन्स दैट ultimately it's about having a healthier children as well as the population. It also means inclusive workplaces जहाँ पर आपका सिर्फ यही नहीं है, like not only one segment is represented. And I am, by the way, a very strong advocate of inclusion. For me, the list of inclusion is very long. It is not just limited to women. But that also means that आप अपना 100% of talent, the society is using the 100% of the talent and not leaving anybody behind, or not just having a representation of half of it. The most visible outcome, in my opinion, is hope, because an educated woman educates a nation. और ये तो कायदे आज़म के कोर्ट में भी यही है। अगर इफ़ यू रिमेंबर कि इफ़ यू वांट any economy to rise, then you start making sure that the women in that society are literate. So I would say that it's a hope that our GDP can also increase, and then we have also like we are going to end up with educated families and financial stability and independence it will lead to.
That's compelling because I believe कि अगर if you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation or a whole community. So let's move to the next question, which is कि if you were to design Pakistan's literacy roadmap for the next decade, so what are the three non-negotiables would you set?
Okay, if I have to design the literacy roadmap for Pakistan, the three non-negotiables for me would have been three. Obviously, you're asking for three. One would have been early childhood literacy, mainly because that is the foundation of everything um, that builds the future talent pipeline, and that is like critical for any nation to have. The second would be digital literacy for all, to prepare our youth for the global opportunities and not leaving anybody behind. And the third would have been leadership literacy, which means exposing people to be resilient, to be ethical, to be inclusive, to be flexible, agile. All of that is very, very important when it comes to leadership literacy. And together, I think these three would have given Pakistan both the skills as well as the spirit to thrive.
That's great. You have talked about the जो early age जो literacy है. So what do you mean by that? कि उसमें क्या चीजें हैं? Survival skills जिस तरह हम लोग जापान या चाइना की स्कूलिंग देखते हैं, उसमें जिस तरह से बच्चों को मतलब instead of teaching them ABC or alphabets, they go for teaching them कि how to cook, how to knead, how to survival skills उनको सिखाए जाते हैं. So you mean that?
जी बिल्कुल, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सॉफ्ट स्किल्स तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और अगर मैं जैसे इस पे बहुत डिबेट भी होती है सीमा, दैट व्हाट आर दो स्किल्स विच आर इम्पॉर्टेंट, जितना, एंड आई एम नोबडी बाय द वे, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लुक आई डू नॉट रिप्रेजेंट द एकेडेमिया, सो आई हैव टू highlight this caveat that by this I do not mean that I am, let's say, pinpointing anybody or I'm trying to, shift the blame or anything. Not at all. This is purely my opinion, and all opinions are equally respected. And like I said, I don't know their challenges since I do not belong to that particular area or field, which is why I have to highlight that. But this is purely my opinion, and in my opinion, based on the curriculum that I have gone through as a child, and when I look at the practical usage of that curriculum, I see little correlation. That, for example, and I used to question, by the way, when I even was a child, I haven't gone through biology as a subject. While I have so many doctors in my family, and it was a big shock for my parents that why am I giving up on the idea of biology? But I'll tell you, I was in the ninth grade and I kept questioning that what am I going to do by learning the digestive system of a frog, right? What am I going to end up with? And then naturally, I had no aptitude to be a doctor. So, like, the point that I'm trying to make here is that things that we study, there are, like, when I look at it, hardly there is any correlation in the practical world. On the other hand, for example, I'll definitely share this also. When I was going through my MBA different semesters, there were some real projects that we were working on, and then also some, life skills, such as we had to present those problems, we had to do all the calculations, and then there was a statistical tool that was utilized. So that definitely is still relevant because we have to present, especially in the organizations where we work, we have to do the analysis part, how we have come up with the problem, how we have identified what is like, the understanding, is it just on the basis of sentiment? So analytical skills for that matter, or presentation skills for that matter. I'm just again talking a few. Time management, super critical, that I when I was going through my MBA degree, it was very important for us to manage our time, because there are 24 hours. How you are prioritizing, how you are using, how it is going to lead to the impact you are making. So the effort has to be less than the impact has to be greater. How do we manage our calendars, etc., etc. All of these are important skills. um,
Yeah.
Nobody tells you to lead. If you want to be a leader, then sharing these basics, that you have to figure out what is the problem in the community, or what is the problem in your school with your peers, and how can you make it, or how can you simplify that problem, because that is how you earn. You don't have to wait for the titles to be a leader. Instead, you look at the problem and solve it for someone, then you are also equally a leader within your community, within your household, within your family. So these are all those skills which are very important. But and I'm sure and I'm hopeful. And right now, I haven't looked at the curriculum of the any school or academia, so I'm hopeful that these are those important skills which are being talked about. But what is most essential in today's world and age is also, like, to talk about the basic differences between cultures too. Especially as you have mentioned, Seema, that we are all working remotely, and then we do not have a chance to understand every culture in depth. I'll share one example with you. There was a time I was leading a team in the Philippines, and one of my team members came, and she had a pet, and the pet was a cat, and the pet had a name too. But I had totally forgotten while I had numerous conversations, and she kept bringing. But then one day, I was just working on something very important, and she pinged me and she said that I'm forgetting the name of the cat now, but she said that she has crossed the rainbow. It's a very common thing, okay? But then I was like, all of a sudden, because I was in the middle of my work, and she was very emotional. Then I immediately called her, and then I realized that, oh, fine. I thought like somebody has passed away, but then who exactly? I was not able to connect the dots. Immediately, I called her up, and I understood that she was extremely emotional for losing her cat. But then this is like, this may be, and again, we are coming from different cultures, right? Pets are like very very close in the culture of Philippines. Likewise, I still remember once I read an email, and she said, um, like, simply she was following up on something, and the statement that she made was that uh, following, like, no, just a minute. She said, this is following this email, full stop. So I thought maybe she has missed out something, right? Maybe she wanted to add something. So immediately I called her up, and I said, when you said that following up this email, so do you want to say something to the leader to whom you have written? The leader was here based in Pakistan. Um, Sorry, keeping in view. This was her exact statement, keeping in view, that's all. So I said, like, is it a half statement? Do you want to add something more to it? And she said that she was being very polite, and she was following up with a male manager. And then I smiled, and I said, the male manager in Pakistan will never understand, so you have to be very direct, and you should say that I am following up with regards to the email that I sent you, or maybe something different, that this is a gentle nudge, or this is just a gentle follow up. Unless and until you are not going to be direct and straight, so you will not understand. Similarly, I'll tell you, when we collaborate with people in the US, there are times they are very direct, and then the kind of culture we have, sometimes people view it as if, like, like, it's mainly because of the difference in cultures and how we have been brought up. So very 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 important to give that awareness to our people very early in that age, so that when they are exposed to those situations, they should be fully equipped to handle those cultures as well as emotions of people, because at the end of the day, there are many similarities. We are all human beings, just like how we have been brought up, how we have been taught certain things. So I feel like these are all life skills, and they're super helpful, whether we are navigating through our life challenges, or job opportunities, or freelancing, or entrepreneurship. All of that has a critical role to play.
Yeah,
So
true.
teaching it early makes sense.
Yeah. There are, like you have mentioned, many practical skills, like हमें सेशंस हमारे होने चाहिए डेफिनेटली. वी हैव टू नो क्रॉस कल्चरल कोलैबोरेशन and the things that we have to face while dealing with other countries. So that was all. So before we close, I really want you to give a message, or what message would you like to give to our audience, especially to Pakistani youth?
First of all, I would say that thank you so much. If you have gone through the entire video, then I really want to salute you for your patience for listening to me and bearing with me. That's
No,
the
it was
first I would like
lovely.
to say. And then, right. And then my message is look very simple. It is like, don't wait for the world to give you permission to do something. Don't wait for the perfect conditions to grow. There are times we keep telling ourselves, okay, aaj nahi kal nahi parson, when I'll be in a good mood, when I'll have this, that. No, if you want to grow, then any day you can begin with. Take very small steps, take baby steps, but start from somewhere. Start with whatever you have, but at least start. And then learn continuously. Like there is, like you should never have this mindset that now I have learned enough and there is nothing else to learn. The day you will think about this or have this mindset, it in itself will be a recipe of disaster. So learn continuously, whether that is anything within your own field, whether it is a new skill, whether I've even heard from some people, although I still want to be that courageous to be honest, but I have heard that even look, and again, these are self-limiting beliefs that we keep telling ourselves, but there are people who even learn Spanish or Chinese or any different language too. That also can lead to numerous opportunities. We
True.
only think because there are some countries that are very, very specific in the type of talent they need and the type of language that is required for them to speak in those countries. So, learning is very important, whether that is a language, whether that is a skill, and then have confidence to build your voice. Your voice may be low or your voice may not be the right one, but you will learn along the way. And there are people who will discourage you as well, but don't listen to naysayers. Always believe in yourself and surround with those people who uplift you. And likewise, you also have this responsibility of uplifting others as you rise. So, literacy is not a certificate, it is a power to shape your destiny, obviously. It is not to be earned, but it is important to apply. Application of skills is very, very important. That's the learning I got from the colleague that I just indicated the story I shared a while ago. That while degrees are equally important, by this I do not mean that let's not go for the degrees. All I mean is apply the knowledge that you earn from the degrees, and then you have every power to shape your destiny. So, don't wait for anybody to change the future. You are the present, you are the future, and the present needs you to lead your own life with a sense of purpose, which definitely has an impact on others who are living closely with you and even on the society and the nation that you represent.
Thank you, Samia. That is most, much needed message for our youth. So I think हमें एक और session करना चाहिए on digital skills, because I think you have so many things to say, but the time is very short, or I think we are running out of time. So let's find up. Inshallah, we'll try to set up another session with you on digital skills or leadership.
I'd
एंड
love to.
लेट्स कंक्लूड, बिकॉज अगर हम लोग अपने बच्चों को सिर्फ किताबों में या सिलेबस तक रिस्ट्रिक्ट करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली हम उनको बहुत पीछे रख लेंगे. उनके मुस्तकबिल के साथ हम लोग कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहे हैं. तो फॉर पाकिस्तानीज, फॉर ऑल द पेरेंट्स और टीचर्स हु आर लिसनिंग दिस, ट्राई टू टीच योर किड्स द प्रैक्टिकल स्किल्स दैट वी एक्चुअली नीड, बिकॉज किताबें और वो सारी चीजें they are not important, because people skills, आपके technical skills, आपके जो social skills हैं, and all the digital skills, that matters a lot. So we have to make that pledge कि we will move from basic literacy to leadership literacy. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.